There are groups on LinkedIn that you can join, that may be pertaining to your particular industry. And if you're accepted, you can post certainly in those groups that may give you some traction and also helps your credibility too, because whenever you do any of outreach, those who you're connecting with may see you're part of a group. They may be more willing to accept your invitation as opposed to if you were not part of that group. So that could be a very good helpful indicator as far as you getting more, like I would say, thought leadership, being part of the group and also being active in that group. Again, post at least once a week, and make the information you're posting educational by nature, and what's trending right now is actually video. So if you can create a short video and post it to that group, that they would get a lot more eyeballs on it and certainly drive more interest in, checking out your profile because a lot of people are not really doing that at the current times.
Welcome to Sustainability Transformations podcast, where we explore bold ideas to drive positive change for people, community, and business. And today's guest is strategic, tech driven, impact focused, growth oriented, and relationship centered. Kushna is the founder of Linked Vantage, award winning author of the AI LinkedIn Advantage, and a trusted advisor helping leaders grow authority, networks, and results using content AI and branding strategies. And the core theme of our discussion is empowering sustainable leaders through the digital influence regarding AI and influence, building sustainable impact through LinkedIn strategy. How you've built a career helping professionals stand out online, but what sparked your passion for helping mission driven leaders build real impact through LinkedIn?
Well, I think it's a great platform to get connected. And I think it's an opportunity for sustainability leaders often miss is showcasing their unique vision in a way that connects emotionally with their audience. It's not just about posting updates. It's about positioning yourself as a thought leader by sharing stories that reflect your mission and values. Authentic thought at leadership emerges when your content sparks trust and fosters conversation and inspires actionable change.
What's the biggest opportunity leaders in sustainability miss when it comes to their LinkedIn presence?
I think being purposeful networking is all about seeking collaborators and funding partners who align with both your values and goals. LinkedIn filters and search tools can help identify like-minded individuals or organizations. To avoid connection fatigue, focus on quality over quantity. Thoughtful engagement, small but intentional networks, and mission-driven conversations energize and sustain momentum.
Okay, so you mentioned about the quality over quantity. So now with AI, with ChatGPT, I can see, and a few people have sensed that the quality of post has increased because AI is helping the efficiency. Now there's a lot of quantity of post out there. So what's the difference between just posting content and building true thought leadership?
Well, I guess you'd have to look at the content that you're creating. You got to start with content that educates your audience, follow with posts that inspire action, and conclude with clear next steps, like a subtle call to action. For those adverse to self promotion, remember that highlighting your mission and its why is a service, not self serving.
Okay, so I personally have experienced where when posted content on LinkedIn, which is around leadership of sustainability, is it fair to say or assume that the demographic of the audience you target, some demographic could be more less inclined to like or comment for various reasons if I use the seniors or the leaders as an example, or you can still deliver content to such demographic using that as an example to still get commenting and liking and is a reaction of some sort or engagement rather is the word I was looking for.
Well, it all depends on your followers. If you're in a situation where you have a lot of followers that are not related to what you're saying, it's nobody's going to listen to it. For example, I use newsletters and focus particularly on certain industries like accounting or attorneys or financial planners and cater to information for those individuals. So when they receive it, it's directed to them specifically based on their let's say, occupation. So I send out newsletters at least once a week. I have about 5 different newsletters going on to specific industries that, of course, that those who read it are very interested in what is currently trending in their particular topics that they're having. So that's important to be very selective in who you're sending the information to, as opposed to in general, because you're really not going to get much traction that way.
Considering the LinkedIn platform is fairly a general audience, then what are the insights or advice for leaders or sustainability leaders when they create content? Considering LinkedIn is a broad family of people from different demographics, seniority, and so on. What are some of the tips you would advise to get a good understanding of what the demographics are like so that you post content to attract the kind or the type of demographic that will suit the audience you are creating the content for, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, pretty easy. There are groups on LinkedIn that you can join, that may be pertaining to your particular industry. And if you are accepted, you can post certainly in those groups. So that may give you some traction and also helps your credibility too, because whenever you do any of outreach, those who you're connecting with may see you're part of a group. They may be more willing to accept your invitation as opposed to if you were not part of that group. So that could be a very good helpful indicator as far as you getting more, like I would say, thought leadership, being part of the group and also being active in that group. Again, post at least once a week, and make the information you're posting educational by nature, and what's trending right now is actually video. So if you can create a short video and post it to that group, that they would get a lot more eyeballs on it and certainly drive more interest in, checking out your profile because a lot of people are not really doing that at the current time. So that's really where I'm seeing the trend right now is video is really taking off. If you keep it short, people will be more likely to watch it and be more receptive to what you're trying to say.
That's good. When I started posting on LinkedIn, I don't know whether it's just me, but I was more conscious of the general audience of former work colleagues or previous friends that were just seeing the post I was sending, but it wasn't relevant to them. And so your advice is, focusing on the groups looks like such a great idea because you know the audience. For example, I'm part of the sustainability professionals group on LinkedIn. So in this scenario, then I can focus posting such video or content in that group because that's what I'm trying to focus on. So that's great. So tell us about your new book, The AI LinkedIn. How can sustainability innovators or leaders use AI to amplify their message?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of information that I researched on, and my book focuses on empowering innovators to leverage AI for storytelling and impact. AI can amplify messages by identifying audiences' insights, optimizing content for visibility, and scaling human connection through tools like smart messaging personalization. Practical applications, I'd say use AI for scheduling content at peak engagement times or crafting dynamic posts that align with trends while staying authentic to your mission.
Uh, are there any two or three practical ways or methods that AI is transforming how we build that professional relationship and trust in the midst of AI? Sometimes can be quite robotic or too mechanical.
Well, I would say that responding to posts on LinkedIn, people who are influential or influencers, you might say, and responding within a timely fashion, usually within the first hour that they post, and provide critique as far as what they are trying to say and see if you can help them with their posts by perhaps adding to something that they didn't address. Could be a great example. AI technology like ChatGPT can analyze the post and look for ways that could help add something that would create help for that influencer. And a lot of times that post that they post will probably go viral. But if you get it within a certain time frame, usually within, I would say, the first hour, if you post, people who follow that post will see yours responding, and they may follow you as a result because of the amount of people following that. And that influencer may check out your profile as a result because you help them elevate their post, which LinkedIn loves and helps the algorithm to spread the message even greater. So it's a win-win situation for both the influencer and you.
I've seen a feature on LinkedIn which now, when you comment on a post, you see the impressions. Hopefully, I've got the name right, of how many people have viewed. I hope that's the meaning of the impressions, which in a way helps see the impact of commenting. Can you share some light on that new feature on LinkedIn?
Well, as far as the amount of views on your particular post, it's been around for a while, so it's not a necessarily new feature.
Sorry.
It just kind of gives you a gauge as far as whether or not your post is gaining traction or has gotten, more interest compared to other posts. So it kind of gives you something as a basis point, which you may be able to use or repurpose in the future for another type of post, maybe expanding upon that if it's a popular topic that resonated well with your people who follow you. So that could be a useful tool for that.
Yeah, sorry, I was actually referring to not the posts which you get the analytics, but when you comment. So a thought leader creates a post, they get the analytics of it. But I'm talking about a thought leader creating a post. And when I comment on it, or when you comment on it, now you can see how many people it's called impressions. So you actually now get a data.
Well, I'd say that if you comment on an influence post and you find that you're getting a lot of people who are commenting on your post, that's certainly helpful and realize that you're going in the right direction. So whenever they do another post in the future, the key thing is comment within a certain time, usually try to be as quickly as possible because then your post will be on the top where others will be all the way on the bottom. When they look at that individual's post, they'll see yours underneath and may decide to comment on your post in addition to theirs, which helps gain you more favorably with LinkedIn's algorithm. So it's definitely an advantage to do that.
You talk about purposeful networking. How do leaders use LinkedIn to find aligned funding partners for sustainability startups or businesses, or collaboration partners for their mission?
So as far as how to use LinkedIn, well, it's about making quality connections, reach out to people who may be influencers in that industry and engage with them. The best way to engage with them is obviously to follow them. So don't connect directly to them. For the most part, they'll decline you because they're popular. It's like you're trying to want to connect with, I don't know, whoever is the most popular nowadays, Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, and you want to reach out and make a connection, well, most likely he's not going to accept it, but you can follow the individual. And what happens is you'll get notified when they post, and that gives you an opportunity to engage with their particular post to reply that. And sometimes that may help get you their interest and they may extend ability to connect with you. So that's really the way to do that is to follow someone who you feel it's offering good value and comment on what they're posting, and but add value to what they're commenting will make a difference.
Yeah, that's good. So, how can sustainability advocates avoid connection fatigue? I think you've shared some of them, and build communities that really energize great transformation.
Well, the way to do it is to really, spend not all day on LinkedIn, but maybe at least an hour a day, and reply back to any comments that people uh, posted on your particular thing. For example, a lot of people post and ghost. They just leave a video and they come back a week later to see what responses they get. That's not the way to do it, and you're not going to make connections that way. You should be alerted as far as who's looked at it, who's commented on it, and then respond back. Whether it's say, thanks for your thoughts or answer their question if they have. That's really the way to do that, so you can get engagement. The way to do it is to really make the time you spend on LinkedIn, impactful. So I would say that, try to engage with at least a newsletter once a week. If you're going to post in groups, at least once a week. Ideally, post a video because you're going to get a lot more views that way. And you'll be quite surprised that being part of groups helps you improve your ability to make more connections because by association, that really helps. So that's really the way to do it without getting fatigued, make the time on there spent worthwhile, by doing these strategic moves, which I talk about in my book, The AI LinkedIn Advantage. So that's something that a lot of people will find to be a good resource for learning about tools and techniques that help me become, better at what I do. And that's definitely a good starting point.
That's great. I really love that video to the LinkedIn group because I think that's going to be my next task to focus on. So that's great once again. So, what framework do you use so that you can move from the profile views to real world opportunities? So, LinkedIn notifies when someone views your profile, and if you are on the premium, then you are able to see who's viewing your profile. Or sometimes you may ask for connections where the person doesn't accept, but they actually view your profile. I'm very curious to know what are some of the hidden or using experience. What do those signals mean?
Well, before you do any outreach whatsoever, you got to really optimize your profile. I mean, that's really to make a difference. Start with your profile picture. You want a professional picture, you want a headshot that's going to be representing who you are, and also look at the background picture too. Don't ignore that. Don't put up something like I don't know, a generic, or cliche quote. Do something more with that. Talk about, what's accomplishments that you have. Maybe you won an award, maybe you've given volunteer work. I mean, people love that, and that's all should be part of your profile. Expand about your about section. A lot of people treat it like a resume, and it's not really the case. You want to really give something of value whoever you're connecting with, because they say in life, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, and that's true. Okay, and only give you a short period of time before they move on to someone else. So you need to really give them value whoever you're connecting with. So pay attention to your featured section, make it more, put the best features that you have first so you can make it more impactful whoever you're connecting with. If you have videos on there, showcase some videos as part of your activity. That's always important to notice. I would say also look at your experience, and elaborate on certain industries you're in. You don't have to put every experience you had in life. That's really ridiculous. Some people put experience, they worked at McDonald's when they was a teenager. Okay, well, that's irrelevant compared to if they're, I don't know, attorney now or something. But if you have a school affiliation, that's a great thing. Enforcement skills, take advantage. You could do up to 100 skills actually as part of your skill set. So try to put as much as you can in the skills section on that. But most important is recommendations. So that's how you're going to build trust. I mean, if you have a recommendation, you want to be as many recommendations as possible. Having one recommendation doesn't cut it nowadays. Okay. You got to be more proactive. All right. So whoever is use your services or is happy with your services, reach out and ask them for some kind words, because it's going to make a difference. That's the first thing. Because when you look at this, if you have, I don't know, 6,000 followers, but only one testimonial, that's really suspicious right there. You're going to think about, who's this guy? I mean, you should have at least, I don't know, 10% of testimonials of that followers, commenting how great you are, because that's something that's going to make a difference. So that's really where you want to focus. Before you do any outreach, you got to optimize your profile. You got to give something of value, because nowadays, the people have a short attention span. They don't want to spend time on time wasters, and that's really what, for their point of view, is that you got to give them something that, the competition is giving them. They're giving them, great value, whether it's an article they've written or testimonials from people who've used their services. That's going to make a difference between you and the competitor out there. So that's what you have to really do, is focus in on being more proactive, getting those testimonials and creating content that's going to give something of value, or videos. This is all part of it. Before you do any outreach, you got to put your house in order.
Yeah, that's good. A great tip out there is if you've worked with any clients or customers, try and get those recommendations as soon as possible. From my experience, I've gone back a year or two later, and it's difficult to get those recommendations.
Yeah, that's not the best time. The best time is to do it as soon as possible. Like, for example, this podcast is a great time because I'm going to give you a great recommendation. Hopefully you'll do the same, but that'll give you a template in order to do that. So whoever your next guest is, do the same thing. If they have a LinkedIn profile, hey, if I give you value, and you can make it easy for them, put in some kind words, you can create the content for them and they'll just post it, I mean, make it as user friendly as possible. People don't want to think about what to say. but give them examples of what you're looking for. And guess what? You make it easy for them. It makes a big difference. And you'll see also what's good about it. Now, do you have a website separate from LinkedIn?
Yes, I have two websites actually. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any testimonials on that website?
Yeah. So the training, I have pulled 10 testimonials onto the website. Yes.
Any of those testimonials on LinkedIn?
10 is only one. And that's something which clearly I have to work on because the challenge is I didn't really take it seriously about recommendations. So yeah, I didn't really take good action. So I think I fit the statistics where I have over 6,000 followers, but I haven't really done. But I went back about 6 months ago and it's difficult to get any response from those that I've worked with in the past where
Let's
in the moment when I was consulting for them and leading them, it was really good. So that's why I shared the advice about try and get a testimonial as soon as possible. And the challenge is I moved from a oil and gas sector into a solar. And naturally that is a disconnect because when you work in that oil and gas, for some reason in the space, it may appear to be there's a
different.
contrast. So
Obviously, it's a different profession.
yeah. So trying to get feedback or recommendations from a different sector into a new sector,
All
there's a
right.
lot of lessons
So
there.
you sound like a fresh start, but the reason I'm saying is that once you do that, let's say you get people on and you get 10, 20 testimonials, you can use it on your website and then also share a link with that person's profile because it makes it more authentic. Because people post testimonials on their website, but they don't know who these people are. They can be fake by all matters, but you put it like a LinkedIn logo, they connect it and they see that person's real. Well, that makes you more trustworthy.
Yeah.
That's really what's all about. And that's important. So my website, LinkVantage, they can go ahead and check out the reviews I have from real people, and they click on the profile and they can then reach out to them. Hey, did you work with Al? They know, so that really makes a difference. So at least lead by example. So that's just an example of what you can do. And then once you get that in order, then do an outreach. Then decide to connect with someone. But the first thing to do is you don't have to connect with them directly. You can follow them. For example, go to the profile, don't do an actual connection, unless you are referred by someone, for example. But if you don't really know the person and maybe they're a second connection, they may be part of a group that you're part of, I would follow that person. And what happens is when they get notified that they do a post, you'll be notified when they post and then comment on their post. And sometimes they'll check out your profile, like that service that LinkedIn tells you who's looked at your profile. That's a great opportunity to ask them, hey, thanks for stopping by my profile. What made you decide to check out? They may say, oh, well, you're part of my group, and I just figured to kind of make a connection. And then at that time, reach out, well, let's connect. You understand? And that's how you do it, organically in a way that it doesn't come across as being spammy or, forced. It's a natural order of business. But if you do it that way, you'll find to make more quality connections and you can grow your followers of people who are really looking for what you have to offer. That makes a difference. And again, also, I think LinkedIn caps out at 30,000 followers or something. I'm not sure. Or connections. I think you can go unlimited, but that's something, down the road to think about. So it's more about the quality of the connections versus the quantity is the key thing. So that's what I want to share with you that's it.
Ah, what metrics actually matter then for sustainability leaders who are growing a presence online?
As far as making the most out of LinkedIn, you would say, or
Yeah, as
I would
far as
say,
yeah. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
post a story about your mission, for example, and include a clear call for collaboration or insights. Storytelling invites connection, and you never know which post could lead to your next milestone. So I hope that these insights provide inspiration and practical steps to leverage LinkedIn as a tool for greater impact.
So, for impact driven professionals, what would you advise how to balance inspiration, education, and promotion in their content?
Well, I would say digital sustainability is about maintaining authenticity and consistency online over time. Leaders often falter when they focus too heavily on short-term ROI or trends. So the fix, revisit your long-term goals and craft a digital presence that feels sustainable for you, blending tools, automation, and personal touch points to extend your reach without overextending yourself.
Yeah. Good. So, what is one mistake leaders, when they are scaling their influence, they have to be aware of, and how to course correct any such mistakes, would you say?
Well, I would say to balance education, inspiration, and promotion, think of your contact as a 3-act story. Start with contact that educates your audience, follow with posts that inspire action, and conclude with clear next steps, subtle call to action. For those adverse to self promotion, remember that highlighting your mission and its why is a service, it's not self serving.
Yeah. So the popular belief is to post continuously or post as often as possible. But I'm curious to know that, considering less than 5% of people on LinkedIn actually post. Yeah. Uh, I don't know the specific stats, so you probably correct me on that, but less than 5 or 10% of people post once a week. And so if you post once a week, then you are doing more than the majority of the people. So how can, using that knowledge, where the popular belief is to post as often as possible, but post just about enough to stay relevant, to improve your brand, but avoiding the potential of burnout?
Well, the thing is to provide a variety of posts, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a post directly. You can post by commenting on an influencer, for example, and you can post, several times a week on that influencer's particular post that may help gain traction with you. Post once a week in the groups that you have just to be active, which is a great thing to do. If you have a newsletter, that's very good. You send that out. And what's great about the newsletter is that it kind of bypasses spam filters when people receive email because of LinkedIn's, algorithm. It gets through Gmail, it gets through Yahoo compared to traditional, other things sending out from a corporate email. It gets more prominence and not filtered through spam. So if you're posting on LinkedIn, like in your newsletter, it'll go directly to the inboxes so people will see it as opposed to going to the spam filters. So that's something that is unique about LinkedIn newsletter feature.
For sustainability leader listening today, what's one LinkedIn move they can make this week to grow their influence?
Focus on your profile. You want to grow, you have to get your house in order. Okay. My book has a lot of resources available, how to optimize your profile. On my website, linkvantage.com, I have courses that you can learn how to optimize your profile. Before you do any outreach, you got to get your house in order. Okay. Because no one's really going to take you seriously if you don't take your profile seriously. That's simply put. And if you think you can kind of, get around it or cut corners, it's not going to work. And what's going to happen is that whoever you outreach doesn't want to connect with you, it's going to look by LinkedIn as you're spamming other people, and you may end up getting your account closed because you look as a spammer. You know, you got to give more than you take, and that's really what it's all about. So make sure you get your profile optimized before you do any outreach. That's my word of the day.
Huge thank you to Al for your time and the incredible insights for leaders of sustainability, impact driven leaders, on how to grow influence, particularly on LinkedIn, in the mix of AI and other key topics. So, if the listeners or those who are watching would like to explore more of your work, where can they find you?
Well, you go to my website, linkedvantage.com. I also have a free ebook that you download on tips on optimizing your profile. You can go to the website and learn more about that. Certainly check me out on LinkedIn, my profile. And also my book will be available. It's be released, I think, July 4th. So it'll be available in both audiobook. You can go on Spotify, get on the waiting list for the book to be released. So yeah, those are just great ways to kind of connect and find resources that'll help your listeners get better on LinkedIn.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Yeah, cheers.